Stop. Before you swipe away, listen carefully, because what's sitting in your pocket right now could be a silent fortune slipping through your fingers. These wheat pennies, people spend them every single day without even blinking, not realizing they're handing away hidden wealth. Do not spend these coins. Check your pocket now. Nobody talks about this, but collectors are fighting behind closed doors, paying shocking amounts for pieces that look completely ordinary. And here's the scary part. Each coin I'm about to show you gets rarer, more valuable, and harder to find. Miss this, and you could lose everything. Stay with me. Coin number 1. You wouldn't even notice it at first. It's dull, gray, almost lifeless. The kind of coin you'd toss into a jar or hand over at a gas station without thinking twice. But that's exactly how this one slips away. The 1944 wheat penny with no mint mark doesn't scream for attention. It hides. And that's what makes it dangerous. Because while you're ignoring it, someone else is hunting for it. And when they find one in the wild, it's not pocket change anymore. It's a serious, heart-racing discovery most people miss completely. Now here's where things start to twist. 1944 wasn't just another year. It was deep in the middle of World War II. The United States was under massive economic pressure, pushing industries to their limits. Copper had already been pulled for war supplies in 1943, and when it returned in 1944, the mint was rushing to meet demand. That pressure created inconsistencies, tiny imperfections, subtle variations, and overlooked details that today drive collectors absolutely insane. This coin exists because of urgency, stress, and a nation trying to hold itself together. Pick it up and it feels ordinary, but it's not. About 3.11 grams, a diameter of 19 millimeters, thin but firm, with that familiar Lincoln profile on the front. Abraham Lincoln stares forward, calm, almost unaware of the chaos of his time echoing into this coin's creation. Flip it over, and you'll see those iconic wheat stalks framing the words 1 cent. But here's the thing. On this specific coin, that gray, almost steel-like tone is where the story begins to get dangerous. Because wheat pennies from 1944 are supposed to have that warm copper glow, that rich reddish-brown tone. So when one shows up gray, collectors freeze. They lean in. They inspect every inch. Because that color shift could mean something went very, very wrong at the mint. Or very, very right for whoever's holding it now. This detail changes everything. And most people overlook it completely. And then comes the missing mint mark. No D, no N, just blank under the date. That means it was struck in Philadelphia. But here's the obsession. Collectors don't just glance at that space. They study it. They question it. They compare it. Because sometimes, under the stress of production, dyes wore down, markings faded, or subtle anomalies appeared. And those tiny differences, that's where hidden wealth lives. Let's talk about survival. Coins like this weren't saved. They were used, passed from hand to hand, dropped, scratched, worn down by decades of circulation. So finding one today in very fine condition, where the details are still visible, the wheat lines still sharp, Lincoln's features still defined, that's rare. Extremely rare. And here's the part people mess up. They try to clean it. They think they're making it better. But the second you wipe that surface, you destroy the original toning, and with it, the value. Forever, that gray tone, that dirty look, that's history. That's authenticity. That's what collectors want. Never clean this coin. Never polish it. What looks like grime to you looks like gold to them. And if you're serious, if you think you've found one, you need professional grading. Because without it, you're guessing. And guessing can cost you hundreds of thousands. Yes, hundreds of thousands. Because right now, in today's market, a 1,944 wheat penny with no mint mark, grey appearance, and very fine condition has hit values around $380. Hundredth, let that sink in. That's not spare change. That's life-changing money hiding in something people ignore every day. Quiet wealth, silent fortune, sitting in drawers, jars, and forgotten corners. And the collectors, they're not casual about this. When one appears at auction, it's not loud, it's intense. Quiet bids, focused eyes, calculated moves, because they know how rare it is. They know how few exist in this condition. And they're not buying to flip, they're holding, locking it away, which means supply keeps shrinking, while demand keeps climbing. So what should you do? First, check the date, 1944, then look for that missing mint mark. Then that color, that unusual gray tone. Feel the weight, study the details, and whatever you do, do not spend this coin. Because once it's gone, and someone else will be the one cashing in on your mistake. But don't relax yet, because the next coin, it makes this one look common. It's rarer, more shocking, and people are losing it every single day without even realizing what they just gave away. Stay with me, because what comes next is even bigger. Next up, you've probably seen a coin like this and instantly rejected it. Dark patches, strange green spots, uneven brown surfaces. It looks damaged, maybe even dirty. Something you'd rush to get rid of. But that exact reaction, that's how people lose a fortune without even knowing it. Because the 1,954S wheat penny doesn't need to shine to be valuable. It hides behind flaws that aren't flaws at all. And if you miss this, you might be handing away something collectors are desperately trying to get their hands on. 1,954 was a strange moment in American history. The war years were over, but the economy was still shifting, adjusting, stabilizing. The San Francisco Mint, marked by that tiny S, was producing coins during a time when equipment had been heavily used, dies were aging, and consistency wasn't perfect. That pressure left behind subtle irregularities, and those irregularities, that's where rarity begins. This isn't just a coin, it's a product of a nation transitioning, and that tension is stamped into every detail. Hold it in your hand, and it feels familiar. About 3.11 grams, 19 millimeters across, thin with that classic Lincoln cent thickness. But look closer. On the front, Lincoln's portrait carries a softness, slightly worn but still strong, in extra fine condition. The word liberty stands clear, the date 1954 sharp enough to catch light. Flip it over, and those wheat stalks frame the design, but they're not perfect. The surfaces carry that brown tone mixed with black and green spotting. And this is where most people make a massive mistake. They think it's corrosion, damage, something to clean. But those spots, that's oxidation, natural aging of the copper alloy, 95% copper with small amounts of tin and zinc. It's chemistry, not damage. And collectors, they don't run from it, they study it. That mix of brown, black and green tells a story of time, storage, and survival. Original surfaces like this are nearly impossible to replicate. This detail changes everything. Now, look for that small S mint mark under the date. That single letter connects this coin to San Francisco, and collectors obsess over it. They examine the placement, the sharpness, the strike quality. Because during this period, mint marks weren't always perfectly struck. Slight differences, tiny shifts, can send value soaring. Most people never even check that spot, and that's why they lose. Here's the truth about survival. Coins like this were never meant to be saved. They circulated. They were spent, dropped, forgotten. So finding one today in extra fine condition, where the wheat lines are still defined, Lincoln's jawline still visible, the lettering still crisp, that's already rare. Add in those natural toning patterns, untouched surfaces, and a clear S mint mark. And now you're looking at something collectors don't just want, they compete for. And this is where people ruin everything. They try to fix it, clean it, polish away those dark spots. The second you do that, you erase decades of natural aging. You strip away the authenticity. And just like that, the value collapses. Never clean this coin. I mean it. What looks ugly to you is exactly what makes it valuable. Original toning matters more than shine every single time. If you think you've found one, don't guess. Get it professionally graded. Because condition is everything, and extra fine is a very specific range. Grading confirms authenticity, preserves value, and puts your coin into a category collectors trust. Without that, you're just holding metal. With it, you could be holding a silent fortune. Because right now, this exact coin, 1954S, brown tone with black and green spotting, extra fine condition, has reached values around $140, hundredth. That's not a typo. That's real auction behavior. Quiet, aggressive bidding between people who know exactly what they're looking at. They're not hesitating. They're not negotiating. They're securing something that's disappearing from the market. And here's why it's getting worse. Collectors aren't selling. They're holding, locking these coins away in collections, vaults, long-term investments, which means every year fewer are available. Supply shrinks, demand rises, prices climb, and all the while, people are still spending these coins like they're nothing. So before you ignore another ugly penny, stop. Check the date, 1954. Look for that S. Study the surface. Feel the weight. Don't rush. Because patience is how hidden wealth is found. And rushing, that's how it's lost forever. Do not spend this coin. And just when you think you've seen it all, the next coin is on another level entirely. Rarer, stranger, and the way people are losing it, it's almost unbelievable. Stay with me, because what's coming next makes this look easy to find. Next up, most people would throw this coin away without a second thought. Scratched, dark, that grey-black surface looks like it's been through years of abuse, maybe even damaged beyond saving. But that exact moment when you decide it's worthless is when you could be losing a hidden fortune. The 1948 wheat penny with no mint mark doesn't beg for attention. It tricks you into ignoring it. And that's why it's one of the most dangerous coins to overlook in circulation today. 1948 came right after the chaos of World War II, when America was rebuilding, industries were shifting, and the economy was trying to stabilize. The Philadelphia Mint, no mint mark, was pushing out coins in massive numbers to meet demand. But the equipment had already taken years of stress. Dies were wearing down. Pressure was high. And when that happens, small inconsistencies slip through. Tiny details that collectors today obsess over were born in that exact moment of strain. Now hold the coin. It still carries that familiar weight, around 3.11 grams, about 19 millimeters in diameter, thin with that classic wheat penny thickness. But this one feels different. On the front, Lincoln's portrait shows visible wear, especially across the cheek and jawline. There may even be damage, marks, scratches, uneven texture. Most people see that and immediately assume it's ruined. But collectors, they look deeper, because not all damage tells the same story. Flip it over, and those wheat stalks are still there, framing 1 cent, but the surface carries that grey-black tone, almost muted, almost aged beyond recognition. This isn't bright copper. This is something darker, older, more mysterious. That color shift, caused by decades of natural oxidation in its 95% copper alloy, becomes a signature of authenticity. This detail changes everything. What looks like decay could actually confirm originality. And then there's the missing mint mark. No letter under the date. That means Philadelphia, but don't underestimate that blank space. Collectors study it intensely. They look for strike clarity, die wear patterns, even micro-level imperfections around that area. Because in years like 1948, when production stress was high, those tiny variations separate ordinary coins from ones worth serious money. Here's where it gets uncomfortable, because most of these coins didn't survive. They were used, spent, lost, damaged. So finding one today in very fine condition, even with visible wear and surface issues, is already rare. But when that wear lines up with original surfaces, untouched toning, and authentic aging, now you're looking at something collectors don't dismiss, they chase. And this is where people make a huge mistake. They try to fix it, clean off the darkness, polish away the scratches. But the second you do that, you erase history. You destroy the very thing that proves the coin is real. Never clean this coin. I mean, never. That gray-black surface, that's not dirt, it's time itself. And once it's gone, the value can collapse instantly. If you think you've found one, don't guess. Professional grading is critical. Because with coins like this, the difference between ordinary and extraordinary comes down to details most people can't even see. Grading protects it, authenticates it, and puts it in front of collectors who are willing to pay for exactly what it is, not what it looks like at first glance. And what is it worth? Right now, a 1948 wheat penny with no mint mark, grey-black tone, visible obverse damage, and very fine condition has reached values around $240, hundredth. That's life-changing money hiding inside something people reject every day. Silent fortune, hidden wealth, sitting in plain sight while people unknowingly give it away. Collectors don't take chances on coins like this. They move fast, but quietly. Auctions aren't loud, they're intense, focused, competitive, because they know how rare it is to find one with this exact combination of features. And once they get it, they hold it, lock it away, which means fewer and fewer are ever seen again. So before you toss aside another dark, worn penny, stop. Check the date, 1948, look for the missing mint mark. Study the surface. Feel the texture. Don't rush to judge it. Because patience is where wealth hides. And rushing, that's how fortunes disappear. Do not spend this coin. And just when you think the story ends here, there's one more coin that almost nobody believes exists in circulation anymore. Rarer than all of these. More valuable than you'd ever expect. And the way people are losing it, it's unbelievable. Next up, there's a moment right before someone spends this coin where everything could have changed, but doesn't. It's sitting in your hand, dull grey-brown, maybe even a little ugly with those strange green and black spots on the back. You hesitate for half a second, then you let it go. That's it. Gone. What you didn't realize is you may have just handed away a hidden fortune. The 1957D wheat penny is one of those silent traps, so ordinary on the surface, yet carrying value that can hit hard if you know what to look for. By 1957, America was deep into a new kind of pressure. The post-war boom was in full swing, consumer demand was exploding, and the Denver Mint, marked by that small but powerful D, was working overtime to keep coins flowing. But speed creates mistakes. High-volume production leads to worn dies, inconsistent strikes, and subtle variations that collectors today hunt obsessively. This coin wasn't made in calm conditions. It was born in a system pushing its limits, and those limits left clues behind. Pick it up, and it feels like any other wheat penny, around 3.11 grams, 19 millimeters wide, thin, with that familiar copper structure. But look closer. On the front, Lincoln's portrait in extra fine condition still holds strong detail. His hairlines visible, cheek defined, lettering sharp. It doesn't scream rare. It whispers it. And that's what makes it so easy to ignore. Most people never take that second look. And that's exactly why they lose. Now flip it over. This is where things get serious. The wheat stalks frame the design, but your eyes are pulled to those green and black spots scattered across the reverse. Most people panic here. They think corrosion, damage, something bad. But collectors, they slow down, because those spots are often natural oxidation, interacting with the coin's 95% copper, 5% tin, and zinc composition. It's chemistry, aging, authenticity. This detail changes everything. And then, don't miss this, look just below the date on the front. That D mint mark. Small, easy to overlook, but it ties this coin directly to Denver, and collectors fixate on it. They examine its shape, its position, its clarity, because during heavy production years, like 1,957 mint marks, could vary slightly due to die wear and alignment. Those tiny differences, that's where serious money hides. Most people never even notice. Here's the truth about survival. Coins like this weren't protected. They were spent, stacked, dropped, ignored. So finding one today in extra fine condition, with strong detail, original surfaces, and natural toning is already rare. Add in those distinctive reverse spots and a clear D mint mark, and now you're holding something collectors don't just want, they compete for. But this is where people destroy their own luck. They try to clean it, wipe off the green, polish away the darkness, and just like that, the value is gone. Completely. Never clean this coin. Those spots, that uneven color, that's the fingerprint of time. Original toning matters more than shine every single time. Once it's altered, collectors walk away. If you think you've got one, don't guess. Get it professionally graded. Because extra fine isn't a guess, it's a standard. Grading confirms what you have, protects it, and puts it into a market where collectors trust what they're buying. Without that, you're gambling. With it, you could be holding something life-changing. And yes, life-changing is not an exaggeration. Because right now, a 1957D wheat penny with grey-brown tone, green and black spotting on the reverse, and extra fine condition has reached values around $130 zeroth. That's serious money hiding in something people overlook every single day. Silent fortune. Hidden wealth. Slipping through hands constantly. Collectors know this. And when one shows up, auctions get quiet, but intense. Focused bidding. No hesitation. Because they understand how few of these exist in this condition with these exact features. And once they secure it, they don't sell. They hold, lock it away, which means the supply keeps shrinking while demand keeps rising. So before you spend another worn-looking penny, stop. Check the date, 1957. Look for that D, turn it over. Study those spots. Feel the weight. Don't rush. Because patience is where fortunes are found, and rushing is how they're lost forever. Do not spend this coin. And if you think this was the last surprise, you're wrong. There's one final coin that collectors are almost desperate to find now. Rarer, more valuable, and nearly impossible to catch before it disappears. And the scariest part? It still shows up in circulation. Next up, It doesn't look special, and that's exactly why it's slipping through people's hands every single day. A dark brown penny, a few strange green antique spots on the front, slightly worn, but still readable. Most people don't even slow down. They spend it, forget it, lose it forever. But the 1,941 wheat penny with no mint mark is one of those silent opportunities that hides in plain sight. And once you realize what it really is, you'll never look at pocket change the same way again. 1,941 was a year sitting right on the edge of chaos. The United States hadn't officially entered World War II yet, but pressure was building fast. Industry was ramping up, resources were tightening, and the Philadelphia Mint, no mint mark, was pushing out coins under growing strain. That kind of environment doesn't create perfection. It creates variation. Subtle inconsistencies in strike, tone, and surface began to appear, and those tiny differences are exactly what collectors obsess over today. Hold the coin, and it feels familiar. About 3.11 grams, 19 millimeters across, thin with that classic wheat penny profile. But look closer. Lincoln's face on the front still carries definition in very fine condition. His hairlines visible, jawline outlined, the word liberty readable. And then you notice it, those green antique spots scattered across the obverse. Most people think damage, something to get rid of. But that reaction, that's how hidden wealth gets thrown away. Because those green spots are not random. They're the result of natural oxidation in the coin's copper-based composition, 95% copper with traces of tin and zinc. Over decades, exposure to air, moisture, and storage conditions creates that antique look. Collectors don't see flaws, they see proof. Proof the coin hasn't been tampered with. Proof it's original. This detail changes everything, and most people completely miss it. Flip it over, and the wheat stalks stand tall, framing 1 cent and United States of America. In very fine condition, the lines are still visible, not worn flat, not erased by time. That balance, aged but not destroyed, is what makes this coin so desirable. It survived circulation without losing its identity. And that's rare. Much rarer than people think. Now check under the date. Nothing. No mint mark. That means Philadelphia, but don't underestimate that blank space. Collectors study it intensely. They compare strike strength, surface texture, even microscopic imperfections around that area. Because during high-pressure years, like 1,941 dies, wore differently, and those differences separate common coins from ones worth serious money. Here's the part most people get wrong. They try to clean it. They see the dark brown tone, the green spots, and they think it needs to be fixed. But the second you clean it, you destroy the original surface. You erase decades of natural aging. And just like that, the value drops, sometimes instantly. Never clean this coin. That antique look? That's exactly what collectors are paying for. If you think you've found one, don't guess. Professional grading is critical, because very fine isn't just a casual description, it's a precise level of preservation. Grading confirms authenticity, protects the coin, and makes it desirable in the eyes of serious collectors. Without it, you're holding uncertainty. With it, you're holding a potential fortune. And yes, fortune is the right word. Because right now, a 1,941 wheat penny with no mint mark, dark brown tone, green antique spotting on the obverse, and very fine condition has reached values around $240 zeroth. That's not pocket change. That's life-changing money hiding in something people ignore every day. Silent fortune. Hidden treasure. Sitting unnoticed while it gets spent again and again. Collectors don't hesitate when they see this coin. Auctions become quiet battles, focused, aggressive, strategic, because they know how few of these exist in this condition with original surfaces intact. And once they secure one, they don't let it go, which means supply keeps shrinking and demand keeps rising. So before you dismiss another dark, spotted penny, stop. Check the date, 1941. Look for the missing mint mark. Study the surface. Feel the weight. Be patient, because patience is where wealth is found, and rushing is how it disappears forever. Do not spend this coin. And here's the part that almost nobody is ready for. There's still one more coin out there, so rare, so unexpected, that even experienced collectors miss it. And when it shows up, it doesn't stay in circulation for long.